Hello everyone! If you joined this course when it first launched, your local dev environment domain probably ends in .dev. So for example, fictionaluniversity.dev or amazingcollege.dev or something along those lines. Well, there's been a few recent developments lately in the web development industry, and nowadays if you visit a .dev local domain in your browser, you'll probably see a frustrating screen that looks similar to this. Now, I don't want to spend too much time explaining why this is happening. I want to focus on giving you quick solutions, but I will let you know that the reason this is happening is because Google owns the .dev top-level domain. Examples of top-level domains are com, org, gov, dev. So Google owns .dev, and Google also owns the Google Chrome web browser. And Google has a lot of influence with other browser creators. So basically, Google is saying, even if it's just a local fake domain that only exists in your computer's imagination, if it ends in .dev, the Chrome browser is going to require it to have a valid certificate so that it can operate on the HTTPS protocol. Now, for real public websites, this is great, and I applaud Google for doing this. It helps everyone stay secure and safe. But for local dev test environments, this can be a nightmare because our private local test sites usually will not have an authorized security certificate. And that's why we run into this error screen that says your connection is not private. So in this video, we are going to learn how to get around this issue. I will cover both local by Flywheel setups and our Vagrant and VirtualBox setup. Let's begin with local by Flywheel. Okay, so I've launched the local by Flywheel software, and I've clicked on my Amazing College site and clicked the Start site up in the top corner. But now if I try to visit the domain, I obviously see this error screen in Google Chrome. So to fix this, within the local by Flywheel window, just click on SSL. So within this menu here, SSL, and then down here for the certificate option, click on the Trust button. If you're using a Mac, you will need to enter your user account password. And on Windows, you will probably need to click on a notification pop-up. Basically, we're telling our computer to trust the dummy or fake certificate for this domain. Okay, now once you've trusted that certificate, if you go back to the site and refresh, it might work right away, or you might need to completely quit your web browser application. And on Mac, instead of just closing the window, actually quit the program. So click on Chrome in the top menu bar and actually select Quit. When you relaunch the browser and visit this domain, it should now successfully load your website. And that's all you need to do if you're using Local by Flywheel. Now let's change gears, and I will show Vagrant and VirtualBox users how to get around the .dev domain issue. So let me jump to my command line and spin up my Vagrant box. So Vagrant up. And I don't want to waste your time having you watch my Vagrant spin up, so I just fast forwarded. Now if I try to visit fictionaluniversity.dev in my browser, I'm going to see the same annoying message. And when it comes to our Vagrant and VirtualBox setup, instead of trying to tell our computer to trust this fake dummy certificate, I think we're better off just switching our domain to .test instead of .dev. I recommend this because with our Vagrant setup, we don't have a universal GUI or graphic user interface like Local by Flywheel has. And the process of trusting a fake certificate is very different on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And I want our Vagrant setup to work no matter where you are, and I want it to be simple to work with. Plus, moving into the future, we really just don't want to be using .dev domains any longer whatsoever. Google has made that clear. So let me show you how to switch an existing Vagrant site from .dev to .test. Let's begin by finding the files that are powering your Vagrant site. So in my case, that's local sites. And instead of going into the fictional university folder, I actually want you to go into the Puppet or PuffPet folder, which contains a file named config.yaml. Go ahead and open this config file in your text editor. Okay, and within this file, I want you to search for your domain. So you can press Command F on a Mac or Control F on Windows. And in my case, I can search for fictionaluniversity.dev. You should find a block of code with that listed twice. And let's just go ahead and switch it from .dev to .test. In my research, .test and .example are reserved words that should never be used for real domains. So we should be safe here. So we changed it here. Also be sure to change it on this line. There should be 2 instances. So change it from .dev to .test. And then go ahead and save this file. And then back in your command line, go ahead and run vagrant space and then provision. Press enter, and this will tell Vagrant to use your updated config file to sort of rebuild our server. And that process could take several minutes, so you might want to pause the video because I just fast forwarded through it. But now, for the next step, we need to update our computer's hosts file, right? Because now at this point, our Vagrant server knows about the .test domain, but our actual personal computer is not aware of that fake dummy domain. So we know how to edit our hosts file. It's a bit different depending on whether you're using Mac or Windows. On Mac, you just visit the command line and type sudo nano/etc/hosts. On Windows, you want to open up Notepad or a text editor program as an administrator and then edit your hosts file that lives at this location. Okay, now within your hosts file, remember we've already got this one entry that targets the IP address of our Vagrant VirtualBox server, and we've already set up fictionaluniversity.dev. So on that same line, let me move my cursor down there. On the end, I'm just going to add on fictionaluniversity.test. Okay, let's go ahead and save those changes. So on Mac, you can just press Control-O, and then down here, it's asking you, is that where you want to save the file? Push Enter to say yes, and then press Control-X to close this text editor. Okay, and now back in our browser, let's try to visit our .test domain. Up in the address bar, I'm actually going to delete the entire URL so I can specify that I want HTTP instead of HTTPS. So http://fictionaluniversity.test. Now this is really confusing at first, but you'll notice that it redirected me to .dev. This is actually a good sign. This means we are on to the final step. And this is where things tie into WordPress. So in the WordPress database, WordPress stores our URL twice. So when I just tried to visit the WordPress website, it redirected me to the URL that is stored in the database. So we just need to find a way to update that database entry. But first, before we get to that, if when you tried to visit HTTP and then your domain.test, nothing happened, and your browser just sat there waiting forever, you probably just need to completely quit your browser application and relaunch it. Or in some cases, you might even need to restart your computer for it to be aware of the latest changes to your hosts file. Okay, anyways, moving forward, once you are able to visit HTTP and then your new domain, right, fictionaluniversity.test, and have that redirect you to your old domain, that means we just need to update the WordPress database to use our new domain. And the easiest way to update these settings in the database is actually through the functions.php file of our theme. So right now, open up your theme folder. So for me, that's local sites, Fictional University, app, WP content, and then open up your theme. So right now, open up your theme folder. So for me, that's local sites, Fictional University, app, WP content, and then open up your theme folder. So for me, that's local sites, Fictional University, app, WP content, and then open up your theme folder. So for me, that's local sites, Fictional University, app, WP content, Then we've all got the themes folder, and then this is my theme, Fictional University theme. Okay, and then open up the functions.php file. Okay, now right up at the top here, let's add a couple of new lines. So let's say update option. Update option is a function, and we give it two arguments. The first is the name of the database option that we want to change. So the first one is site URL, okay, comma. The second argument is what you want to change it to. So quotes, let's say http://fictionaluniversity.test. Right, we're setting it to our new domain. Okay, and then right below that, we just want to do the same thing again, update option, call that function, give it two arguments. This time we're interested in the database entry named home. And again, let's just set it to our domain. So you could just copy and paste this instead of typing it again. Okay, with these two lines of code in place, go ahead and save this file. And now we just need to visit our website once for these changes to take place. So back in the browser, clear out your address bar and visit http://fictionaluniversity.test. And actually, just to play it safe, I'm going to visit /wp-login.php. Cool, so as soon as this page loads and runs, WordPress is going to execute those new two lines of code that we added. So this means we've successfully updated the WordPress database to use our new domain. Now let's go ahead and log in and rebuild our permalinks. So fill out the form and log in. And then down in your sidebar under settings, let's click on permalinks. You don't need to choose a different option here. We can just scroll down to the bottom and click Save Changes. Perfect. However, you might notice that if I try to visit my home page, right, if I use this link, when you try to visit your home page, it's still going to redirect you to your old domain. And this doesn't have anything to do with Vagrant or WordPress. This is just your web browser's cache, right? Because if I open an incognito window and visit http://fictionaluniversity.test, I can visit the home page without any issues. So in order to be able to visit it in a non-incognito window, just clear your cache. So Chrome, clear browsing data. Now this will force you to have to re-log in to all websites and apps like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, which is definitely inconvenient, but needing to log into sites again is not the end of the world. In this way, we can be sure that our browser has no memory of our old local domain. Once you clear your history and data, now you should be able to visit your homepage for your WordPress website without any problems. Perfect. Now that things are working, I want you to go back into your functions.php file and delete these two lines of code that we added, the update options. We no longer need those lines. Save that. And finally, let's not forget to update our settings.js file that powers our automation. We need that settings file to point towards our new domain, so that our proxy preview server will work with our new setup. So in my case, my settings.js file lives a few directories up within my main Fictional University folder. Remember these 4 files that power the automation: gulp file, package, settings, and webpack config. So we want to go into the settings.js, and we just want to update line number 2, which is URL to preview. So I'm just going to change this from .dev to .test. Go ahead and save that. And then we can make sure it works by going over to the command line and running gulp watch. Cool, so localhost 3000 pulls up our website. And if I edit my frontpage.php to use a different headline here, so maybe if I say welcome with 4 exclamations, if I save, you can see the web page automatically updates for me. Or if I edit a CSS file to tell this text to be yellow, So within the CSS modules folder, if I jump into headline.css and edit this large rule, color yellow, save that, you can see it gets updated in real time. Cool. So everything is working perfectly with our new .test domain, and we have successfully sidestepped the .dev domain issue.